Okay, welcome back to your fourth web scraping tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be downloading the stock price from a list of symbols that we read from a file. So the first thing we're going to want to do is whatever directory your stocks.py file is saved, you want to make another file, just any text file, in that same directory. So actually what we can do is we can put these just in a folder called stock program. Let's drag both of these into there, and then open up the shell, and then find stock program, open up stocks.py. And this is actually the last program we were working on in tutorial number 3. So nothing has changed since then. And if we run it, it actually prints out the price of Apple, Google, and Netflix. And also, in the last tutorial, we were printing out an array because the function re.findAll, it returns its results as an array, because if it finds more than one price, say for Apple there were 3 elements on the page that matched it, it would return an array with 3 elements. So instead of price, we could just put price of 0. And now it should output just the first element in the array, and it shouldn't find more than one because it's a unique element. So here we have the list of symbols that we're using. So we're gonna need to open a file and read from the file. So here we have our symbols.txt file, and in this file we have Apple, SPY, and the VIX, volatility index. Hold on. The volatility index. So what we need to do is open this file. And in Python, opening files is very easy. So we'll just say symbol file equals open. And inside we put the URL to the directory. So we'll just put the path to the directory. So we'll just put symbols.txt. And the reason we can do this, we don't have to put C/whatever, is because it's in the same directory. If it was up a directory or down a directory, we'd have to do something different. So let's just run this and make sure it opens the file. Okay, it still runs. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read the file. So we could say symbol list equals symbol file.read, and we're using the read command again, and then we can do for symbol in symbols list print symbol. That didn't give us what we wanted. So what that is, it actually printed each character. So why don't we try read lines? And then we'll say print symbols list. Okay, so what we have here is the contents of that array. So it read each line of the file, and it included this \n onto the end of the symbol. And that's actually not what we want. So we have to do some more. .read. So why don't we try reading the file. So if we print out symbols list, see what this gives us. Okay, so that just printed the entire contents of the file. And what I think we can do is after each symbol, there's the new line character, so we can actually split the file on that character. So we can say print symbols list dot split, which is another function in Python that's very useful. \n. So we'll split on that character and see what it gives us. And that's exactly what we want. It gave us apple, spy, and the VIX. And there's no other character appended onto the end of it. And the reason why this is important is because if you're just reading the lines and you're outputting to the screen, you don't actually see this \n character, because when you're printing to the screen, it will just make a new line, and you might not know what's going wrong with your program because you can't see this character. And also, in your file, I don't see any \n character, but it's actually there. And that's just one of the reasons why you have to be careful when you're reading from a file and you're splitting on a character. So I think that we have a good way of importing our list now. If I add another character, I can add Google, I can add hello, and then I will save it and run. It finds hello in Google. So we can actually expand that list to be as large as we want it to be. So now we're going to go on to the World Wide Web, and we're going to try to find a list of every stock symbol. And you might be thinking, there's like 7,000 stock symbols, so how many are we going to do this for? And we'll see. We'll have to go onto this World Wide Web and its infinite knowledge and see what we can come up with. So I'll just type in list of stock symbols. And here we have a list of all the symbols, it looks like. All the A's at least. Try downloading this and see what it gives us. We have to register. That's unfortunate. But that's not going to deter us. The web has infinitely many lists. Oh, here's one directly from NASDAQ, the leading exchange in the stock market. So let's see what they give us. NASDAQ. Of course, I think each exchange has to give you a list of the stocks they trade on that exchange, because if you don't know, exchanges like NYSE, they only trade certain securities. So they have to tell you which exchange it's on, or you can't trade, let's see, you can't trade Bank of America on like NASDAQ, so they want to tell you what symbols you can actually trade on there. So here's NASDAQ. We'll download the CSV. TurboTax. I'm not a big fan of Intuit software, but please enter file free. And that's actually pretty ironic because we're getting this file for free. So submit. Show all downloads. Huh. Okay, so here's the CSV file that we have, we want here. And I'm just opening it into Excel. Excel is a pretty good program. And we could open this in Python, and we could split it. It's a CSV file, so we could split it on comma, and then we could just take the first row. But why don't we just save ourselves the trouble and and just copy this entire row, this entire column here. So I'll just do Shift, Control, and then hit the down arrow, and then hit Control C, and that will copy that entire row. Next, I'm just going to paste it right into this text file. Paste, and backspace. Looks good to me. Looks like we've got every single symbol. Great. I'm not sure why it starts with FLWS. Let me see. Flowers. Oh, it's because I thought it was in alphabetical order, but it's in order by alphabet of the name. So this one starts with numbers. So of course those are the first ones. So we'll save this file, Control S, and then we can try to run this. Function F5, and look, it printed out every single symbol. So for the time being, why don't we just try using this file? Why don't we just delete everything here and try it just for one symbol or two, SPY. Because in the last tutorial we were using lowercase letters. So here you can see Apple is using lowercase letters. And why don't, instead of having the symbol list defined right here, why don't we use new symbols list. And then change symbols list to be new. I think this is all of them. Run it, and oh, we get an error here. So it says the price of AAPL is, and then it doesn't know what to do. And we get an error as well. So it says print the price of new symbols list of I is price of 0, list index out of range. So let me just try printing price, not price of 0. Okay, so for it found the symbols in the file. It found the symbols in the file, but it's not returning us anything. It can't find AAPL or SPY in Yahoo Finance. And I think it's because they are uppercase letters. So let me just confirm this and do lowercase AAPL and SPY. Run the file. And of course it can find it again as soon as I change it to lowercase. So we have a problem here, and what we need to do is, instead of searching for YSF 184 plus new symbols list, why don't we see if that YFS 184 is unique, or if on the same page it has YFS 184 something else. So I'll copy this, go back to the browser, and just append Apple in here. Control U, Control F, YFS underscore 184. So we'll just search for 184 underscore. Inspect the element, YFS184. Why don't we just try searching for YFS184, and then whatever comes after that, it doesn't really matter, because I think that YFS184 is the unique identifier. So instead of appending symbols list, new symbols list onto the end, I think what we can do is we don't actually have to split the regex. What we can do is we can just add any character. Any character can follow this. So instead of, it can be apple, spy, whatever it wants to be, but it's still looking for this 184. It has to be on the page. And I think that it will only show up as apple or whatever symbol you request, because you're not requesting more than one symbol at the same time. So in here, I'll just put new string, any character, and that character can be repeated any number of times, because different symbols have different amounts of characters. You can have F is forward, which is one character, TVIX is 4 characters, so any number of characters can follow. So let's see if this works. It does, and we actually get our result right here, which is good. Okay, so now I think now we can change apple and spy to be uppercase. Great, so we changed apple and spy to be uppercase, and our code still works. So what that means is we can use the list that we got from NASDAQ right here. So Control Shift down, Control C, just paste it in here. Save that file, run the file, and we can actually get the price of every one of these stocks. And it's going slow because it's requesting them one at a time. So this code is a linear implementation. So when you are requesting from a list, it has to parse the entire list before it makes another request to Yahoo for another round of information. And I think that maybe if we implement with threads, we might be able to get it to run a little faster. Maybe not, who's to say? But I mean, we're getting a lot of data here. We're parsing pretty quickly. And if you're doing this just once per day to get the end of day price, this is a pretty effective way to do it. And it doesn't look like Yahoo is blocking us out. It doesn't look like they're blocking the IP address for making too many requests. So it appears to be working. I'm not the one to say though, but this is a pretty slow way to get data. I mean, I've been talking for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it's still in the A's. It's not even made its way to a fraction of the amount of symbols. So if we look in this file, we can see that there's 2,691 different stocks traded on NASDAQ. And that's quite a few. I don't think that with this method we're going to be able to request 2,691 stocks every single second of the day, because it's been about a minute so far and we're not even done with the A's. This can't be an effective way. We're going to have to find a better way. And in the next tutorials, we're going to be going over finding a more effective way, and if you don't know how to do it, ways that you can figure out how to find a more effective way. So this has been your 4th web scraping Python tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. We covered file IO in Python. So just set your file equal to open the file, and I think you can actually determine whether you're writing the file or reading from the file. And I'll go over file IO more in depth in the next tutorial. And once you have your file open, you do your file.read, and then you have a string which has all of the contents of your file in it. And then instead of reading the file by line and doing like read lines, we use the split on the \n because our symbols are on new lines and they use the new line character. But you can also use a space and use the split command, or any what is it called, a delimiter. Any delimited type of file you can split, and that's one of the things I like about Python, is it has this split command built in, and it treats arrays like a linked list, so you can actually between two arrays just copy single elements and switch them, which is pretty cool. And in C++, that's actually really hard to do, but in Python it's super simple. So we just downloaded all of the stock like a boss, and we didn't have to pay for anything. We didn't have to pay for Yahoo's data plan or anything. They actually have a data plan where you have to pay, and we're just getting it like a boss. Look at all this data. And in the next tutorial, I'm probably going to write this to a file, or I've reminded everybody like 5 times to get the MySQL library for Python, so that kind of hints at maybe we're going to write it to a database, maybe not, who knows. Maybe we'll just keep it as a file and store it away in our server somewhere and never see it again. But it looks like we're getting good amounts of data here. Pretty decent. Oh, okay. So some of these symbols, if you've seen a few of them, it hasn't found anything. Like right here. I missed it. Some of them it just has empty brackets, so it hasn't found anything. So it's an array of 0 elements. And we're going to have to do error handling in that, or we're going to have to put some more conditional commands in order to know what to do if it doesn't find anything. So, but it looks like the vast majority of these symbols are coming back with results, even though they're kind of obscure. Like, I've never heard of CPSL or any of these. Okay, so thank you for watching your 4th Python web scraping tutorial.